What's up, everybody? It's your boy Sterling from ENT, and welcome back to this beautiful channel called ENT Fantasy Football. Before we get into the video, go down below. You already know what to do. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the comment button and leave a comment, hit the bell icon button. Just hit everything. Do all that good stuff down below. Today we got another banger video for you. This is another solo video from me, and this is my must-drop players. These are players that are hurting your fantasy team, and I know it's hard to let go of these players because there's some big names. Guys who are hurting your fantasy team who you need to drop. Guys who aren't living up to their expectations, and if you're starting them, they're hurting you. If you're keeping them on your bench, they're probably hurting you because you could be getting more value from other players on the waiver wire. So these are players that you can drop safely. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Getting right into it, the first player on my drop list is Allen Robinson. Robinson's average draft position in fantasy football this year was the 10th wide receiver drafted in drafts. And to say at the least, he has not lived up to the expectations he had on him as expected to be an elite fantasy wide receiver. And so far on the season, Robinson is the wide receiver 59 in half-point PPR scoring. And he has yet to have a game where he puts up double-digit points. Players like Hunter Renfrow, McCole Hardman, Randall Cobb, and Marquez Callaway all have scored more fantasy points this year. And I don't see a path to success as Robinson is only averaging 5 targets a game. And with the inconsistent quarterback play of rookie Justin Fields, it doesn't look good for Allen Robinson, and I think his days as an elite fantasy wide receiver are over for now, just for this season. For this season, I think he can be safely dropped as I don't see a path to success for him, and he has not shown you any reason why you should keep playing him or even have him on your roster. Mike Davis was intriguing during fantasy draft season as he was basically the only proven running back on the Atlanta Falcons roster. And there was a lot of hype surrounding Mike Davis as a running back who can put up great fantasy football numbers. This all was stopped because of the emergence of Cordero Patterson. And since the Week 6 bye week for the Falcons, Cordero Patterson has either split the carries with Davis exactly 50-50 or has gotten more carries than Davis, along with getting most of the receiving work out of the backfield. Davis has only one double-digit fantasy point game this year in Week 5, where he played the worst rushing defense in the NFL against the Jets, and in this game he still only had 11 points, and this is due to the fact that he salvaged what would have been a terrible fantasy day with a touchdown. Davis is averaging only 7.5 fantasy points a game and can be dropped in most leagues. Robbie Anderson is another player who had a lot of hype coming into this season after having a career year in 2020. In 2020 last season, Anderson finished the year with 95 receptions for 1,096 yards in only his first season with the Carolina Panthers. Fantasy managers were hoping he'd continue to build off that and have another great year. Obviously, this did not continue as Anderson is only averaging 4.7 fantasy points a game this year. He's had games this year where he scored 0 points in Week 8, 1.3 points in Week 3, 0.7 points in Week 9, and 2.9 points in Week 7. Anderson's only good game this year was all the way back in Week 1, where he scored 12.2 fantasy points. However, this all came on one play where he scored a 57-yard touchdown on his only catch of the game. I see this bad trend continuing on the rest of the season, and I think Anderson can be dropped if he wasn't dropped already. There could possibly be a little bit of optimism around Robbie Anderson due to the fact that it looks like P.J. Walker is going to be taking over the quarterback duties for Sam Darnold for a little bit. So maybe P.J. Walker can add some light into this Panthers offense, but I don't see that happening, and I think Anderson can be dropped. When Miles Sanders got injured in Week 7, it looked like it was the prime opportunity for my next drop candidate to have a huge few weeks in the absence of Sanders. This player is Eagles running back Kenneth Gainwell. Gainwell was one of the biggest waiver wire pickups so far this season in fantasy, as it looked like he was going to have a huge workload while Sanders was out. This was not the case as the majority of carries have gone to Jordan Howard and Boston Scott, as Gainwell only had 1 carry in the first 3 quarters of Week 8, and only 2 carries the entire game in Week 9. Most of the time I'd say to hold on to backup running backs as a handcuff at the end of your bench in case the starter misses time, but the Eagles have shown us that even if Miles Sanders is out, Kenneth Gainwell won't be the feature back or even in the rotation at all to get playing time. So long story short, Gainwell doesn't have value as a handcuff, and he doesn't have value when Sanders is back. So there's really no value for Kenneth Gainwell at all, because if Sanders is in, obviously he's not getting work. And if Sanders is out, we thought he was going to be the feature back, and he's not. He's not even getting carries at all. So Gainwell can be safely dropped. The next entry on my list is sort of like an honorable mentions type thing, and it's actually two running backs who take the same spot. The first one is rookie running back for the Carolina Panthers, Chuba Hubbard. And the second one is rookie running back for the Chicago Bears, Khalil Herbert. Now, in most cases, I would say to hold on to both of these guys as high-value handcuffs, because we've seen if their starter above them in the depth chart gets hurt. In Hubbard's case, it's Christian McCaffrey. In Herbert's case, it's David Montgomery. If they get hurt, these guys are very high value. So I would suggest to hold on to these guys because they're high value handcuffs. But if you have to, they can now be dropped for hopefully an option that'll get you more production right now. If you're a manager who needs production right now, for example, maybe you're like 4-5 in fantasy, or you're 5-4, around that range, and you need to make it into the playoffs, I suggest to drop these guys for people who can get you instant production right now in these weeks, because these guys, Khalil Herbert and Chuba Hubbard, aren't going to get you fantasy value right now. They're more of a long-term hold in case something happens. So if you need, these guys can both be dropped, but I suggest to hold on to them just in case. So yes. So in conclusion, thank you guys very much for watching this video. This was another banger video. These were fantasy players that you can drop safely. Hopefully you guys took some knowledge in from this video. Hopefully this helps you guys win your fantasy league. Hopefully if you're already got your spot set in the playoffs, hopefully this will help you continue for that playoff push. If you're in the middle of the pack and you're kind of fighting for playoff spots, hopefully this will help you, because these guys that you're holding on to are only hurting you. Guys like Mike Davis and Robbie Anderson, they're literally only hurting your fantasy team. And you can drop these guys and get much better options. So hopefully you guys took some knowledge from this video. Go down below, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Subscribe to ENT Fantasy Football. We're dropping bangers all the time. We got podcasts coming out. We got videos like this coming out. Go subscribe to ENT Basketball, which is a sister channel of this channel, ENT Basketball, where we're talking basketball all the time. Go subscribe to that. Go subscribe to this. Leave a comment, like it, hit the subscribe button, the bell button, all that good stuff. And I'm out of here.